Hello everyone, my name is Manan and I am going to edit a letter to Professor. This letter was sent by a student who wanted some help regarding editing it, and I thought it would be great that I can do it and make a video of it so everybody would understand how to edit a letter and also what is the best way to write a letter. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to read through it and I'm going to correct some obvious mistakes. So the first thing that I see is that there is a request for PhD position in your group. I'm going to make this subject, then adding some space. Dear Professor Tae Huang, I hope this email finds you in the best of your health. My name is Maria, M should be capital. I'm a graduate of MPhil from University of Peshawar. With this, I have research interest in computational biochemistry and have begun to consider possible research labs for continuing my studies as a doctorate student. Now the most important thing about writing a letter, especially to someone like a professor or even an employer, is that you have to be very concise. You have to make sure that you're telling your point in the smallest words possible. So I really like this first introductional paragraph because it makes a statement of who the person is and how they are related to the subject of what they are applying to. I have research interest in computational biochemistry and I have begun to consider possible research labs for continuing my studies as a doctorate student. I have briefly overviewed the projects being conducted in your lab. I have also read some of your publications, and your publication titled is very much relevant to my background, to my research background. I have a sound knowledge of computational drug designing for cancer, modeling, virtual screening, and molecular dynamic simulation applied to useful and potent biomolecules. Now, the thing that I will do here is that I am going to divide this letter into three different parts. The first part is, of course, introduction, where the student applies a statement where they give an introduction on how they are relevant to the professor. The second thing that we are going to add here is that what does the student already know about the professor. So it goes on to show that the student has done their homework and they know a little bit of background of what the professor is already working on and what the professor has already done. And one thing I would like to add here is that I would add something which says that there is something that I can do better in the reports or the problems that you have already done. So, for example, if the person says that your publication titled this is very much relevant to my research background, then I can say something like here, I believe that the further research in the area of computational biochemistry can lead to more effective results in your research. As I said before, it's really important that you try to understand that what is it that you can contribute to the professor and what is it exactly that you as a student can benefit them. This is the most important thing that you have to add to your letter. So again, the first part is introduction. Second part is identifying an issue or a problem where you can be more relevant, and then we can move on to the third part, which is how can me as a student be effective and solve that issue or problem that you have, and also how me as a student can further your research interests. So it needs some kind of empathy here that you need to apply. My master dissertation, changed into thesis, was about combinatorial library designing, which was screening of cryptolithine derivatives against topoisomerase 2 by molecular docking, in which important drug molecules for cancer were derived. Also worked as a research assistant in a research-based project that was titled as Computational Investigation. Two articles titled as. Now here what I would do is that I would instead writing the titles, I would say that what exactly did the person do in those titles, and then what I can do is then I can add links to those papers somewhere. Even if they're not published, then you can probably add them in a way that probably somewhere on Google Docs. So I have written 2 articles which deal with XXX. You can add your subject here, particularly the relevance of XXX to YYY. These papers are in the process of proofreading, and they are going to be published quite soon. The detailed information regarding my background is given in the CV and portfolio poster attached. I can also write here that you can have a look at my CV and the poster to have further details about the topic I mentioned. I am interested to do my doctorate studies under your supervision. Based on my strong academic and research background, I am highly confident that I can be a worthy asset to your group. This is something that I would change here. I am interested to do my doctorate studies under your supervision. We have to make it more relevant than just saying that I am interested. So the closing statement here, one thing I should add, should be a summary of all the points that you have made in the above body of the letter, and then you should use the conclusions on these points to make a closing statement. So just saying that you're interested does not really mean anything. It doesn't show anything. What I can write here is that based on my research interests and based on my research interests and your academic and the relevance of my subject to your research topics. I believe that I can contribute very effectively to your group, and I will delete that. Correcting some typos here. I don't really like this. I think it can be made better. Based on my research interest and the relevance of my subject to your research topics, I believe that I can contribute very effectively to your group. Based on my academic work and the relevance of my subject to your research topics, I believe that I can contribute very effectively to your group and progress and to considerable progress. Let me change here. Thank you for your time. Looking forward for your kind reply. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to your reply. I'm going to go through this letter again, and I'm going to see if there's anything that can be made better. I think I can probably indent this. Alt. I'm a graduate student of MPhil. Okay, when you add your GPA, I think one thing I would like to add here is that it doesn't really show what was your academic ranking. So if there is a possibility to know how much did you rank in your group or class, that would be really good. So I can add something like, I am a graduate of MPhil from University of Peshawar. This much CGPA. I ranked 9th out of 110 students in my academic session. This goes on to show that GPA is just a number here. I mean, even though it is quite good, but it doesn't really show how you ranked among your other students. This would give a much better idea, and if you don't have it, then it's fine, then you don't need to put it. This is just a random number that I put in. I have research interest in computational biochemistry and have begun to consider. I have a strong research interest in computational biochemistry and order to further my academic progress, I am considering possible research labs for continuing my studies, for continuing my work as a doctoral student. I briefly overview the projects being conducted in your lab and also written publication. Your publication title is very relevant to my research background because it's very relevant to my research background, particularly because I have a sound knowledge of computational drug designing for cancer and molecular dynamics simulation that apply to useful and potent biomolecules. I believe that further research in this area can lead to more effective results in your research. Now, this is a statement that I just put in myself, but I think it would be really good to add something similar, where you know that you can add some kind of value to the research of the professor. My master's thesis was about this, in which some potent drug molecules for cancer were derived. I was also the research assistant in a research-based project that was titled as Computational Investigation. Or I've written 2 articles which deal. I have written articles which deal with particularly the relevance. These papers are in the process of proofreading, and they're going to be published quite soon. You can have a look at my CV and the portfolio details that I mentioned, based on the academic work and the relevance of my subject. To research topics, I believe that I can contribute very effectively to your group and do considerable progress. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to your reply. I think it looks quite well. I really like this letter, particularly because it's very short and it's very concise. It gives all the points that you need in order to make a very good first impression. Alright, but I hope this really helps you, and I will summarize the points that you need to have in a letter to a professor. The first thing that you need to do is to make it very concise. Point number 1. Point number 2, you need to introduce yourself to the professor in a very relevant manner to show that I am someone who knows this subject. The second thing, the third point that you need to add is you need to show the professor that you are familiar with their work, and particularly the subject that you're interested in. You should say something what you can contribute in that area, and it would be really good that you can highlight particular points. For example, maybe this research paper can be made better, or maybe you can write another research paper by for example, making another kind of research methodology. So that really makes the professor think that this person really knows and this person can actually contribute. And the fourth point that you should add in this paragraph particularly here is that you should explain your background, how it is relevant to the professor, add all the subjects that you have dealt with, so you know how much so the professor knows that you are actually experienced in the areas that you're talking about right now. That's pretty much it. There is no need to add any other kind of flowery language or anything else. It should be very concise and very much to the point. Alright, but I hope it really helps, and thank you for watching.